Welcome to Markets Now. Michelle Rook along with Randy Martinson, Martinson Ag, and we're seeing this early trade steady to a little bit better in all but new crop corn, which is fractionally lower. Randy, let's talk first of all about the soybean market. We've had a pretty good retracement since the pullback. We're right above that 15.15 area on the May soybeans. So can we keep going here if we get above that 50% retracement level and close above it today?
I think we can. I mean, we're starting to hear again now. We're starting to hear rains coming back into Brazil, which is going to slow down harvest. We continue to see poor conditions coming out of Argentina. It's hard to believe that crop can get much worse than it is, but it continues to deteriorate. And it's likely now we're hearing some production reports coming in even into the 20 million metric ton area. So we continue to see the problems that are surfacing for South America. And, there are rumors of some purchasing as far as the U.S. is concerned from China because of it. I do think if we can get above that 50% retracement, we can see this market bounce again. We do need to buy acres in U.S. Soybeans do. So I do think that this market can see a little bit more push. A lot of it is going to be dependent, though, on just how fast and how quick Brazil can get their soybeans harvested and into the market.
Yeah, and how big that crop really is there. Soybean meal, though, has made a nice move here. And of course, we got lower crop ratings out of the Argentina crop yesterday on soybeans. I mean, they're pretty dismal at this point. So you've got to anticipate maybe we're going to see even more production cuts or not.
Oh, I think that's inevitable that we're going to see that. And you're right. It's the soybean meal that's really helping to drive the market again at this point as we continue to see strong demand, or likely will continue to see strong demand on the soybean meal side.
Right. So what about corn? Also some rumors this week that China was in buying corn from the U.S. We haven't gotten any flash tenders or anything or confirmation of that. And that seemed to be a little bit of why the market sold off yesterday in corn after some early strength. So can we hold on today without any confirmation?
I mean, that's a good point. I mean, right now it's expected that China's been in buying, but I think it's been some U.S. Chinese companies that are doing the buying, waiting to make the announcement. So I think we have seen them. We just haven't had to have the announcement or see the export numbers come out. But, corn is kind of comfortable. We know that feed demand's a little bit lackluster. We know that exports are a little slow. Ethanol demand's a little slow. So corn doesn't have the same push that we've seen in soybeans. But we also, and we are also expected to see bigger acres. So corn can kind of sit back and relax here for a little while as, really wheat and soybeans have to do most of the heavy lifting.
Yeah. And exports out yesterday on corn down 40% in terms of our to-date commitments. And so to your point there, if we don't get that to turn around here, corn's going to have a struggle on its hands. But we are also kind of the wild card here is what happens with the second crop safrinha corn and if they get it planted, right?
Right. I mean, right now, with the rains coming in, they're struggling to get that crop planted, and it's going to be over 50% is going to be planted after the optimal planting date. And, we're looking at the possibility of delaying for another 2 weeks, which then you'll start to see acres decrease because they're going to deem it not, worthy of planting because of concerns about drought later in the season and frost around in the fall time frame. So we could see a little less acres or production coming out of the safrinha area yet.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've bounced off support at least here, and hopefully that will hold. But it's kind of frustrating to watch corn not really take off when you've got the wheat and the soybean market recovering like they have been. And wheat, how much more recovery do you anticipate there, Randy?
Well, I think quite a bit. I mean, wheat certainly left the planting rotation up in the northern plains. I mean, right now we're not looking at seeing a lot of spring wheat acres get planted. I think we'll see more durum and we'll definitely see more corn and soybeans at this point. So I do think if they want to or need to buy some acres, they're going to have to start getting that wheat market up and getting back up over that $9 level significantly to encourage some acreage. We are seeing now on a weekly basis what the winter wheat crop's going to be doing as far as crop ratings. Kansas continues to see a little bit of adverse conditions. It dropped last week, and they picked up some moisture. We'll see if that starts to help.
The wheat market, though, otherwise, the dollar index is a little bit lower today, which should help maybe a little bit of that recovery. But we're still waiting on words and headlines in terms of the Black Sea export initiative and whether that's going to be extended. And right now, Russia's kind of saying, hey, we want some additional sanctions lifted before we agree, right?
They are, and and they're kind of playing hardball. I mean, like they have the last two times that this came up for negotiations. But
True.
they're wanting to see that their sanctions are lifted on their fertilizer, so they can start exporting fertilizer. But then Ukraine is actually asking for some things here too that'll be interesting if they get it, and that is making this a year-long agreement. Opening up to more ports, and then having more inspectors so that they can actually get the grain moved through quicker. So it'll be interesting. I think Russia is going to hold out to the very bitter end before they do agree to extend it, but I do think they will agree to extend it in the end.
Gotcha. Cattle market, well, we're back up this morning, but down the last 2 days. And in fact, yesterday we kind of confirmed this reversal that we had put in the previous day. So do you think there's intermediate tops in, or was this just a healthy correction in a bull market?
Right now, a lot will depend on how we finish up here today. We had a decent cash trade develop, so I think that's helping to support the market. But if we finish lower again today, then, we are likely put in a short-term top, and we'll see this market see a little correction. What's interesting is the feeder cattle market didn't see the confirmation. That market's still seeing a little bit of strength, and I think that's because of the weakness in corn.
Yeah, and we're still awaiting cash direction. Like you said, there's been some higher money. It's mostly been in the north. We really haven't seen much trade in the south yet. So we'll see if we get that. Boxes, though, continue to hold together here quite well. These choice cutouts back up, bumping close to the $300 mark again.
Which, that's a signal that the domestic demand continues to be strong. So that, the economy is still holding together. We're still seeing, at least a demand take place in the U.S. It's going to be interesting, though, if we start seeing the increase in interest rates, if we'll continue to see that kind of demand domestically.
Right. And hog market has been a choppy affair, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So what do you think there? We're back up a little bit here today, but do we hold on to the gains into the close today? It seems like every time we get an uptick, they sell it.
I would be surprised if we can hold on to the gains. I mean, again, we still have to look at demand as being the main picture. And as far as, if beef starts to crumble a little bit, I don't know if that'll spill over into the hogs. I mean, hogs have been kind of divorcing themselves and going their own direction. But if you've got the meat sector, the strongest one starting to cave, it'd be tough for the hogs to hold on.
Yeah, and I also have to wonder if, slaughter is up big over last week, and a lot of that might be just backed up marketings here with the weather. And so now we've got a lot of numbers coming at the market, which gives the packers a lot of leverage on the cash, doesn't it?
Oh, most definitely. And yeah, you're right. I mean, and there's a few more storms that are kind of, being built into the forecast right now, especially for the northern plains and among the plain states. So it's likely we'll see another backlog. So yeah, I think the Packers are going to be able to be in control here for a while.
Okay. Thanks so much for joining us, Randy Martinson with Martinson Ag, and that is Markets Now.